Is it over? You know, it might be, but the rings will always fit. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about the Astros versus Diamondbacks series, which took place over the weekend, where the Astros win the series 2-1. They win the first two very, very confidently. The offense looked fantastic. The pitching in the first game was phenomenal. Pitching in the second game was fine, and then they dropped the third and final game. And yeah, that's what we're alluding to begin with. And we're gonna get there. But I really just want to go over some fun stuff first. So you know how last video I was talking about the fact that I'm not concerned when the top of the lineup doesn't really perform well for a series or for a week, because I have the utmost confidence in players like Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and everybody else not to forget the sport of baseball and how to hit a baseball. Sometimes it takes a couple weeks for them to get their legs back under them, and other times they respond with this. Yordan Alvarez had more RBI through the first two games than the entirety of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And it wasn't like the Diamondbacks got shut out. They scored 5 runs. They had a good offensive output. Yordan had 6 RBI in the first game of the series. It took until, the series started Friday night, and it took till Sunday afternoon for the Diamondbacks as a team to surpass Yordan Alvarez in RBI, which is just so gosh darn fun that he's on our team and locked up long term. Have I mentioned that? Have I mentioned that maybe the greatest, James Click, on his way out, was a World Series champion. And yet, the best gift he left the Astros might not be the World Series win. It might be the fact that Yordan Alvarez is locked up through his prime making $19 million. It's silly and goofy, and I smile every time I think about it, because holy crap, they have him locked up through his prime for 19 a year. That is dumb and ridiculous and goofy. Also, Altuve was back and good, to the surprise of nobody. Bregman, again, back, not particularly shocking. Kyle Tucker did finally make his return, which was very nice to see. Hopefully he can find his form again as we head towards the playoffs, because him being good is, important. Also, Pena had some good hits. That was really nice to see. Dubon had a really good game through that series. The offense looked great. Even in their loss, they put up 6 runs, which is fantastic. Fantastic. The offense was not an issue whatsoever. First game, you get a gem from Framber Valdez. Goes 7 innings, shutout, 7 strikeouts. I can't stop singing the praises of Framber Valdez and how wild it is that I've just come full circle with this guy from not really, to, oh wait, this guy might actually be goated, to kind of taking a step back from it, kind of just being he's certainly solid. And then when everyone started to turn, in the midst of that, he found so back. He's never been more back. I don't even know that he found back, because I don't know that he was ever this. And this is a bold statement, because he's received Cy Young votes. I don't know that he's ever been this good in this type of way, where it's not just the ground balls and the really good BABIP luck behind one of the best defenses in the sport. He's just good. He's pitching really, really well. When the Astros needed a pitcher to step up, we thought of all people, and this is insane, with the benefit of hindsight, and it might still be. He had a bad game, but I still think he can be really solid. We thought it was going to be Arrighetti stepping up. Framber stepping up. He's taking the spot of ace right now, and he's pitching unbelievably well to do so. And it's not just surface level, it's the underlying numbers. He is genuinely having a really, really, really good end of the season, and if he can keep it up through the playoffs, that would be fantastic. Kikuchi had maybe his worst game as an Astro, and it still was it was not great. I want to say it was 6 innings of 4-run ball, which is subpar. He still had 6 strikeouts and no walks. I'm not going to say that he pitched a gem, because he didn't. He gave up 4 runs over 6. But, that's not a burn it to the ground thing. That's not panicking. That's just he wasn't great. The strikeouts still give me confidence. The walks give me, obviously, utmost confidence. Placed a couple of bad pitches. Whatever. You're not going to lose sleep over it. What you are going to lose sleep over is the final game of the series, because Verlander pitched. And since coming back from the injury, he's had moments where you're maybe he can come out of it. And he just hasn't. he hasn't really found the ability to come out of it. He's been somewhere between mid to slightly less than mid to terrible in the performances. And that was probably the worst one, where he gives up 8 runs through 3 innings pitched. Does not pick up a strikeout. And if you want to hang your hat on something, he only walked 1. But it's so... There's so little to find good about that game for Verlander's performance. And it sucks. Because... And I'm not even talking about the money or the assets traded last season. I'm talking about it just sucks. And I don't... Like, I can say that, and I think everyone mutually just kind of is like, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. I love Justin Verlander. I adore Justin Verlander. He's probably my favorite pitcher ever, and I've said that a couple of times. Like, I love Lance McCullers. Lance is a pitcher that I love watching, but dude, through all of it, it's just always been Verlander. Like, he is something special. And I got to see him for my team. I got to watch him pitch for my team. I got to watch him win 2 World Series, win an ALCS MVP, win a bunch of different playoff games, win a pair of Cy Young Awards, and make a bunch of different All-Star games, and start those All-Star games, and throw a no-hitter, which is one of my favorite baseball memories of all time. In one of my favorite seasons of all time, maybe my favorite season of all time, because by God, 2019 was just so much fun. And it's the unkind truth that it's inevitable. Eventually, time comes for everyone, and it sucks. Age looks like it finally is catching up. I'm not saying that with any, like, well, I say that through gritted teeth because I hate watching it. Because I never wanted to see him stop being him. Because he came back from a terrible injury in 2022 and won a Cy Young. And it just hurts. And I don't have specifics, I don't have the numbers, and I don't care. This is a pitcher who's been, for a large part, and I think a lot of people can say this, obviously he only came to the Astros in 2017, but for the massive baseball, massive people my age especially, and even a bit older than me, he pitched from like 2005 when he first started to currently. He's been our childhood. And it's a part of it that it just hurts. It's the same as seeing the different greats in the NFL go. The different quarterbacks. It's Breeze. It's Brady. It's not Rodgers quite yet. That's coming out later tonight, by the way. That's going to be interesting. No idea what that's going to look like. It's Manning. It's other Manning. It's people that you've loved watching. And a person like Verlander, who always has just been a great competitor, he's been seemingly a super fun personality around the sport. And it's seeing the decline that came really hard and really quick. And it just hurts. I don't think you can take away the roster spot. And the way you've gutted the minor leagues to get the pitching staff to be where it is currently, it's not like you can just go back to the well. You're not going to send him to AAA. You've got to ride it out. I think you've got to put him in the pen, though. I don't think you can continue to have him start games. And that's crazy to say, but you just can't. I want to find a way to use him that is beneficial to this team. And that is beneficial to him. And that's the other part. You owe it to him just as much to not let him do this. Like, it sounds really bad and possibly even a bit goofy, But, like, you almost owe it to him to not let him do this to himself. Like, I understand that 5 runs all came in the third. How did you let him finish that inning? Why did you let him try to finish that inning? He gives up 3 in the second. The second a run crossed in the second, you should have been thinking about, like, he's really been not looking at recently. And you try to ride it out. And it just, you've got to use him in a way that he actually can be useful to this team. And I still think it's there somehow, some way. I still think he can be of good service and soak up good innings for this team. But it's no longer as a starter. And I don't know what bullpen Verlander looks like. Maybe it's worse. But you've got to try something. And I hope that through that something he can just find enough gas to get through the postseason and maybe have a couple more, even if it's just one inning, even if it's just relief appearances, a couple more vintage Verlander moments. Because, by God, I've got to see at least a couple more. My heart needs to see at least a couple more. And so now the Astros, during an off day, prepare for the And now, during the off day, the Astros will prepare for the Oakland Athletics series, which will begin tomorrow, and it's going to be the 3-game series throughout the week. I will be here afterwards to talk about that series, but as for right now, that is all I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Astros.